Hey, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. We have got a huge night ahead. We have got Jaguar Wright coming in. We have got Tommy Scoville coming in. We've got Ron joining us. He's live right now. And we're going to be talking to Jaguar about the making of a Bad Boy Diddy series on Peacock, I think it's called. And there was a version on YouTube. I watched about 2/3 of it, but then it disappeared. So I've only seen the first 2/3. But I did see Jaguar. I got to the point where she's on the blue sofa and she's widening the scope of what they are discussing on the show. Hey, Maggie. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Sandra, Bailey, Sugar Plum Fairy. Hey, Bailey, did you manage to watch Sons of Ecstasy on HBO Max yet? I know tons of people have been asking how to watch it in the UK. You can get a VPN, but if you do put it in on YouTube right now, search Sons of Ecstasy, there might be, someone might have uploaded it. That's all I'm going to say. It wasn't me. I have no idea who's done it, but it probably won't last long. Probably won't last long. So let me ask you guys in the chat then. Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen The Making of a Bad Boy, the Diddy documentary on Peacock. Put a 2 in the chat if you have not seen it. Let's see how many of you have seen it. And we got, let's have a look. We got 2. Wow, so hardly any of you have seen it. Oh my goodness. Well, it was on YouTube as well, but it didn't last long. It had a hell of a lot of views, a hell of a lot more than the Sons of Ecstasy pirate. And put a 9 in the chat if you've watched Sons of Ecstasy on HBO Max or anywhere else you could find it. Yeah, so many haven't. It's about 90%. Looks like 90% of the viewers have not seen The Making of a Bad Boy. There's not many review videos of it on YouTube either yet. 999. Yeah, lots of 9s coming in. Seeing the HBO Max. All right, put an 8 in the chat if you've not seen Sons of Ecstasy. And we will work out. Sons of Ecstasy is on HBO Max. It's number 2 right now, which is huge. If you're in the UK, I suggest either getting a VPN to watch it, or people sometimes put pirate versions on YouTube. Type in Sons of Ecstasy, and you never know what might come up. That's all I'm saying. Quite a lot of 8s. Quite a lot of 8s. Yeah, yeah. Maggie, I forgive you. So it's getting a lot of press around it. A lot of really interesting articles around it in America. Sammy the Ball's really been pushing it on his Instagram. And it looks like it's going to be number 1. Could be number 1 in the next couple of days on HBO Max, which is a huge credit to Talos, the production company that made the documentary. It's been 4 years of production company, agents, legal stuff, and then all of a sudden it comes up on HBO Max. That's been the journey. So yeah, two excellent documentaries to watch. We've got the Diddy one, and they got my one, and Sammy the Bull. So Looks like Ron's finishing his show. He's going to come in and co-host while we wait for Jag. And then we're also going to have Tommy Scoville is going to be coming in as well, co-hosting. Tommy said he's fired up. He's got loads of questions for Jag ready. I see a lot of questions have come in for Jag on the YouTube community wall. So this is my healthy. You know what? These guys should sponsor me by now, but they don't. This is my healthy glass bottled spring water because of all of the toxic stuff they put in the water these days. Yeah, so thanks for all of your questions. Keep them coming in. How is that mask dude doing? Oh, Kim? Yeah, so OG Shadow is the mask dude. He just got out of prison. He was reporting from Mexico. And he was reporting from Mexico. Just laughing at one of the comments there. But sadly, OG Shadow just got released from prison. He did a podcast with us, but what he didn't tell us, and we've done a follow-up video on it, when he was attacked and stabbed in the neck, and he went through some stuff in there, but they also stabbed him with something that was HIV positive. And he's come up HIV positive now that he's out. Listen to Tam talking crap about my documentary. I thought this was about Diddy. It is about Diddy, Tam. Hold your bloody horses. Jag is joining us. Ron and Tommy are joining us. I'm just here telling everybody to
just relax. Okay, I know his name. I know his name's on the door. Okay, but he's doing his best here, people. He's doing his best here, people.
Take a deep breath. Tamification. You will get through this period whereby you wait for Jag to appear on the screen. You can do it. We have faith. We have faith. Tamification.
Stare into the hypnotic circle and listen to Sean's words. Listen to Sean's words. Subscribe.
Let the pulsing red light relax your mind.
So, hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's having a good day. I'm excited for this one because this documentary was interesting, Sean. We had some insights from some angles that we haven't before. And I just done a live stream where for the first sort of hour we were talking about, was Diddy made by his mother? Because some of the things that were said in the documentary about his age, what went on in that house, it's an interesting one. Here,
absolutely fascinating. I managed to watch 2/3 of it, and I got to the part where Jag is on the blue sofa, and then somebody deleted it off YouTube. Congratulations, Jag, on this documentary.
So
thanks for coming on to talk about it.
Did anybody call you about that before they slapped you in a documentary, Jag?
No.
Yeah, I feel I've been the same. I've been a victim to this too. I'll be honest. I felt like they dropped you in there as almost like a hint that they're on a channel of thinking that's sort of in line with everything you've been saying. But if they've not been in touch with you, that's just sneaky, man. That's just sneaky. What was your feeling on the whole thing, Jag? And welcome. How are you?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm smiling, but I'm hurting inside. Something happened in our family this morning before the live, and I'm still processing.
I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're okay.
No, it's not that I'm not okay. It's just everything that we're doing to save the future. Everything that we're doing to warn the future. Everything that we're doing is to save the kids.
I agree.
Even the children inside of us.
I agree.
Yeah, discord is a problem in my home now.
Oh, wow.
And it's a problem in someone else's home now. And,
it's frustrating. when the internet spills over, right? It is.
People don't realize how close it is.
Well, this is it.
When
The
it gets to the point where children are grooming other children, in Discord.
But you see, this is the thing. This is and actually a very prevalent topic, because I often speak about the layers that are involved in the G word, shall we say, the G word, which is what we have to say. But if possible, can we put a pin in that to when we're at a part of the show that's algorithmically more friendly to that particular style of discussion? Because your points on that are very, very prevalent in the whole world of the G word, because I think a lot of people just think it's the little people that are the targets, where often it's not just that, and there's layers to it.
So you got to understand this.
Yeah.
When you have an adolescent or young teenage child, that is exuding the G behavior.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just call it the G unit.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's definitely a unit.
I hear you.
But when you see the G unit being masterfully worked by children, the only thing that it proves is that an adult taught them how to do it.
Correct. But apply that to anything. I mean, we could even apply that to substance sales. You know, we've seen it, and we've seen that in our face because it's in our faces. When we start peeling back the veil of the internet, the unknown, these modern dangers, it can seem shocking, but this is just a modernized practice that's been around for a while.
When it gets to the point where adults are allowed to weaponize the G unit behavior.
Yeah.
And weaponize children to go out and do their bidding for them.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm talking about when people say the children, what about the children? What about the children in your face?
Literally means literally what I was talking about earlier. But listen, Jag, please, if we can, because you and
let's
I
get back to let's talk about some more weirdo stuff.
Yeah, because you and I can have a great rant about this later, because
I've only got 20 minutes, Jag, because Ziggy's got 106-degree temperature.
Oh my God!
And I've got to take him to hospital in 20 minutes.
All right.
But
do you want to reschedule?
No,
it's all the hospital have got him an appointment and all that. It's all been
okay.
We've talked to them.
So does he have a fever going on right now?
Yeah, 106 in his armpits.
And it's active, and it seems like it's trying not to stabilize. Do you have an onion in your house?
An onion? I don't know. Is that?
See if you can find an onion, cut it up into just chunks, put it in his socks.
Okay.
Put his feet in the socks.
Yep.
And keep it on him this whole time.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
What that does is, it's an old wives' remedy that works very well. A lot of slave women used to do it to bring down the fever and draw out the sickness out of the body.
Right.
But I promise you, with those beautiful little feet he has, you just take some of that onion and put it in there. Before you go to the doctor. When he gets home, put the socks and the onions back on. Make sure he sleeps with it.
Okay.
Because while he's resting, it'll start drawing that out, and it'll help. And that won't get in the way of any medicines that the doctor would prescribe. But
yeah, I'll tell Jen to do that now, and you start with the documentary of Ron. I'll come right.
Yeah.
Yes.
No problem. So, okay, I tell you what. Let's go with an overview first of all. The documentary structure, narrative, from a viewing perspective. Give us your thoughts.
See, this is the thing. I have two opinions.
Oh, we'll get with this one. I knew you would. So
I have one as a viewer, and then I have another as someone who is directly attached to this story.
Oh, and trust me, there's a reason why I asked you in this way, because I want to hear both sides. Because as a educational tool, a documentary, an informative piece of media, let's start with that. How do you think they did a good job with what
It
they were
was
trying
very
to
well done.
Yeah.
For hogwash,
Okay.
it was very well done. As a viewer with no knowledge, if I take away all of my knowledge,
Yeah.
I see an honest documentary, which in a sense is asking the very question that I posed, I believe, right here on this channel. How do we stop making Diddies? Because the Diddy sphere, it's been there. We just got a name to put on it now.
Yeah.
But this has been there.
Yeah, of course.
I think it was great that they went back and got people that knew him before he was Diddy.
Yeah, me too.
The friend Tim, for me, was probably the most troubling.
Was he the one with the house in the woods?
Yes.
Okay. Give me your thoughts on Tim.
The one who ran away from Manhattan and all of the glory that came along with being a part of the bad boy legacy. When he showed where he kept his plaques and his trophies,
Listen, right?
tucked in a cubby behind the bathroom door, that says shame.
Oh, do you know what else it says? It says, if you've built your own house and you've got a secret room and you're willing to show it publicly, that ain't your only secret room. I'm just putting that out there right now. That's just your on display secret room. You know what I'm saying?
Especially out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With no one else there. I had another friend of mine who worked for Bad Boy. He was a part of the Hitmen early on, but he wasn't officially a hitman, but he was a hitman for, the Bad Boy production. And I remember when the complications of all of that success, he started changing, moving differently. He was living very isolated.
Okay.
And then he finally left and moved on and got a life. But even now, he's still very reclusive. Matter of fact, most people from that time are very reclusive because the truth is, the reality is so much worse than what people are saying. I mean, the simple fact that Wendy did an interview this morning with the Breakfast Club. It was a phone interview. Everyone who knows the truth has a complicated life. And like Wendy literally broke down, talking about how messed up all of this is and how she would like to be able to just go back into radio. The simple fact that he's living there, the simple fact that his son recently passed away. Because Tim lost a son, a grown son, just like I lost a grown son.
Yeah.
And apparently, from what he stated, it was from the Fetty Wap.
It always seems to be a very interesting natural cause or something that can be written off by a medical professional as a natural reason.
You know how many doctors and coroners should be in jail?
Oh, we'll get to that, Jag. Don't worry. Okay. You were talking about the narrative and the friends, and I don't know how you felt, but I felt like there was an obvious plant within the people who they were interviewing, and I can't remember a plant, like somebody that was very much pro Diddy, and it was the gentleman who said that Diddy ran over and started giving mouth to mouth.
You mean that guy that got paid allegedly?
I'm just saying, it seemed like there was one guy singing a very different tune in that documentary.
Yeah, and he looked scared with every word he spoke.
Fascinating, right?
You know who didn't look scared?
I'll be sure.
No, Tim. When he started talking about that house of horrors they grew up in.
I was just talking about that on the previous live stream. Please,
that
just
disturbed me.
No. Answer me this. My previous live stream was: did Diddy's mother create Diddy? Right? Just from a boundaries of a young man, take us through when you heard about his upbringing in that house. Take us through how that made you feel.
In the Bible that so many people that say they're worshipers of God read, it says, train up a child in the way he should go. And when he is older, he will not depart from it. That man sat there and said that him and his mother were invited to come and live in that house so Diddy could have a companion because there were no kids around. She didn't need the woman as a tenant for money because of all of the, the bad money that was left behind when Diddy's father passed. They were there so that Diddy could have a companion his own age. She had him dressed like a pimp at 4.
Yeah, right.
That was crazy, the outfit he was wearing.
He's been Diddying his whole life, showing off, flashing. What 4-year-old little kid? Look at my shoes. Like, your average 4-year-old kid can't wait to take them off so they can run around barefooted in their socks. They're not. That's how he was being groomed. I'm sorry, G-united at 4.
Okay. So
Tim also said that at any given moment, you could walk through the house and there would be nude adults doing God knows what, and there was all kind of substances. I think it's very clear that Janice is responsible. But I've always said, every bad guy in history had a mom.
Yeah.
Look at Jeffrey Dahmer's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Manson had a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Hitler had a mom.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of monsters had moms. And guess what? When you go back and look, their moms had serious problems or were monsters too.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer's mom suffered from mental illness, and she was overly medicated on all kinds of crazy things that rewired his brain upon birth.
Yeah.
See, doctors are responsible for that.
Yeah.
As well. There is no doubt in my mind, and there shouldn't be any doubt in anyone's mind, that Janice Combs created this issue that's plaguing the world now. Like, he's literally Rosemary's baby.
Do you think, Jag, it's out of the realm of possibility that at some time in his upbringing, he's witnessed his mother using the sex for blackmail purposes? And this is deep rooted inside him because
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
His mother and his father were hustlers from Harlem.
Yeah. Okay.
They were in those streets. If Diddy's father impregnated this woman with his child, it was probably because she knew how to navigate in that world.
Right.
She knew where to go get all the money that was left behind. Typically when you have a hustler, unless his woman is in on what he's doing, when he passes away, they don't know where to go find the money. They don't know where to go do this because they were kept out of it. Like, you got two kinds of women that deal with hustlers. You got the kind that are partners and accomplices, and then you have the kind that are the front. The nice, sweet, loving, wonderful woman who knows absolutely nothing.
Facts.
She doesn't know where the money is because he never told her those things. Like, you hear these stories when you hear about these hitmen that come out from all of these years with families and wives and neighbors, and no one knew because that's what that family was put in place for.
Correct.
But if Janice was able to go get the money, if Janice was able to keep the lifestyle up like nothing had happened after Diddy's father passed away, then I think it's fair to say that she was in on it. He was a hustler and he was a snitch who was snitching out his crew. You don't think he asked her to get informations on some of his, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it all makes too much sense. What we're seeing is your typical African American dysfunctional family played out in real time. That's what this is. What bothered me though is that they were sitting there asking Tim to ask, how did Diddy end up like this? You grew up with him, you were there. He sat there and told us what was going on in that house when they were children. How is he not just as traumatized as Diddy? They
Yeah.
were both kids watching all of that crap go on. And his mother chose to move into that house knowing who Janice Combs was. That woman had a reputation as Dapper Dan. What kind of mother moves her and her child into a den of iniquity to raise kids? I wouldn't say that's a good mom at all. So how is asking another person who was a child growing up in that situation, how do you ask him anything? The man's living out in the middle of the woods like he's in Witsec willingly.
Yeah.
Hey, Tommy.
How are you, Jag?
I don't know. I think we about to get spicy. Glad you
Yeah.
showed up.
Ain't no question.
Scoville by name, Scoville by nature. Welcome, Tommy. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good. How you doing there, Yum Yum? What's up
I'm
with the
good.
red light? We know what that means, right? We've
Yeah,
all been
listen.
studying, bro. We know what that red light means.
Listen, all I'm saying is sometimes, right, you have to just remove certain factors from. We'll talk about it later, Tommy. Okay, but just look into my hypnotic circle, Tommy. Look into my hypnotic circle. Okay.
Yeah, no, I see
Yeah.
how it's working. I actually saw you the day that came out of the basket, but I didn't see the red light until now. But we
Yeah.
know what's up. Everybody
Yeah.
is
Well, I'll
right.
be honest with you. In my room right now, it is way brighter than it looks, and there's no stress on my eyes, and it is just a glorious for my corneas.
That's
This is
awesome. That's
fabulous.
awesome.
Well, there's
Couldn't be
no
happier.
minors present, so it's safe.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're
We're
good.
good. Yeah, we're good.
You know, but can I do a little? I'm just going to fan out a little bit, and I don't care. But
Yeah.
Jag, you had to love that documentary, man, for real. Because you talk about that whole documentary was that if you remove the part on the couch, there's no theory to anything that happened there. That had to be validating as hell, right? That had to feel good, man.
Well, considering that it was put together by the enemy,
Right?
and they couldn't get around that conversation without acknowledging it, that spoke volumes. The part about it that I liked is that the clip that they got from the blue couch, that we filmed that in November of 2022.
Yeah.
For that to be there and then to use that to introduce my friend I'll Be Sure into the documentary, that was powerful. I was glad that at least if they were going to use me, they were going to use me to address something very real that has been being talked about publicly for years, and people have been just ignoring it. I don't know how many times I've sat on panels and cried about what my friend went through.
Yeah.
And about how many times we prayed him back to life. I don't know how many times I've said that, in my opinion, I believe Kim Porter's demise was foul play and that her baby daddy was behind it. I've been called a liar. I've been called a this. I've been called a that. It's been a this. That's been a that. And now finally, my friend gets to say it for himself.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
looked great in that documentary. And I don't just mean like health wise, but I mean, like I watched that with my brother Johnny when it was over. He's like, man, you got to love him. You know what I mean? Like, and he comes across as just a solid human being. You could see how much he loved Kim, and how these are gangsters, man. Like I think this,
he loves her still.
Yeah, still fighting too.
Of course.
Like a husband does for his wife. People keep forgetting that part. Albert and Kimberly were married. They were married.
And it's his baby's mama too.
Of
I mean, that's
Quincy
the mother of his daughter,
was
the son. That
conceived in that marriage. Imagine what it's like to be a father, knowing that your woman has been coaxed away from you and then put in a prison. You know, I think the most important thing that Albert said was what I've been saying ever since the Cassie tape came out, ever since the Cassie lawsuit came out. And Albert finally confirmed it. It wouldn't be about the Cassie case. If Kim were alive, it would have been about Kim. See, everything that Kim did made it possible for Cassie to do what she did. And I've been saying that. I've been calling it. Kim is a hero because she was willing to put her life on the line for it. And honestly, if it wasn't for Kim, I don't think Cassie would be here either. Nobody talks about that. At least nobody but me until now. But it's just bizarre knowing how long I've been saying all of these things and advocating for my friend and advocating for his life after the multiple attempts made on it.
You know what, Jag? I think one thing you should consider is us having a chat and putting together a documentary, because there's a lot of Jag lore. I've always said this to you. Like when we met, you know, I know more about you, Jag, now because we chat as friends and things than the Jag lore. You know what I mean? And I think that documentary was so easy to consume, and there were so many points, and I learned a lot about the people who you've been talking about for months because of how this information was delivered. It's something that we chat about, because I think people would love that.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to open up and share all of this. You know, it's
Yeah.
just that every time I get to talking, people get scared.
Yeah.
I went live on Instagram yesterday with MIA. Who knew it would be so explosive?
Yeah. Well, listen.
Well, no offense, Jag, but at this point, I kind of just expect if you're there, it's probably going to be explosive. But that, hey, you know something? But keeping it real, those really old recordings of you sitting on the couch, I got into the Diddy verse because of all of the stuff that you were doing in the beginning. The videos that I saw of you back then, the only reason that I'm doing this, the only reason I started down that rabbit hole was because of the things that you were saying back then. I was blown away the first time I saw you. I was like, holy crap. Yeah, I was floored. I really was.
You know what?
Funny go, Jag.
So was I.
I can't imagine it.
Because I knew what I was. I think people have a hard time understanding that I was aware of what was going to happen to me. And I still did it anyway. And I'm proud of myself. But not for me. Because when Albert finally tells everyone everything.
Yeah, you got that impression. You really did.
Yeah, you could hear him pump the brakes on multiple occasions, saying there was a lawsuit pending, and you know that this was evidence that he could. But you could see he wanted to tell it as you know, as much as you want him to tell it. It was gotta be hell.
It'll come that day. We're getting there.
Yeah.
But that's why me being on the front line of exposing all of the fake so-called victims and witnesses is important.
I agree.
Because I don't think people understand these people. I'll obliterate them from the face of the earth before I let them screw over my friend's chance for justice.
Yeah, I agree.
And not just for him, but for us all.
Yeah.
What I'll Be Sure is about to do has the ability to change the entire landscape of how American music history in the past 35 to 40 years is going to be seen. And I'm out here clearing that path. You know, I don't have a problem with doing block and tackle as long as we make it to the end zone.
Yeah. Well, since we brought up your friend, right? I need to ask you, when it comes to Al B. Sure, his marriage, his son, the fact that Diddy almost took it from him like a trophy.
Oh,
You
no,
know?
even almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though it wasn't real, even though the adoption stories were fake, even though the stories about him being a deadbeat dad were fake, even though the stories about him being a
Right.
bum and a has-been, all of that stuff was fake. It was all invented by Diddy. Imagine what it's like to watch the whole world buy in to a monster story when you've been nothing but a stand-up human being
Yeah.
the entire time.
And then be seen together, smiling about it.
Well,
That's the thing. It's
that wasn't for Diddy. That
Oh,
was
I
for
know, I
Kim.
know.
It's for
Yeah.
Kim.
Oh,
That's
I
how
know.
much that man loved that woman. There's nothing that
Yeah.
he wouldn't have done for her.
That was the thing that blew my mind, Jag.
I was about to say, for anybody that didn't see this this documentary, he talks about being in the studio with his with Kim as a new wife, and also had Quincy, had his baby there. And Diddy came into the studio and said, "Boy," and keep in mind, right, Misha Hilton's there with him, and he said, "Boy, I wish I had a beautiful woman like that."
Yeah.
Right to Albie's face.
In front
And
of
Albie said,
Misa.
You do, Misa." And he just
Yeah,
proceeded to
but
steal it.
Misa. This is the same woman who, right after the Cassie lawsuit came out, started, number one, she started crying and complaining about what a bad example of a father Diddy was, and how he wasn't going to drag her son down, and he wasn't going to do this, and he wasn't going to do that. Then the Cassie thing hits, and then all of a sudden she's wants to do interviews about the legacy of Bad Boy and all that Diddy has done, and whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. Maybe people need to go back and revisit that.
Yeah.
Because this man did nothing but treat you like crap. Now, Albert is telling the story of how Diddy sat there and said, "You weren't beautiful enough. I want that one."
Yeah.
Right in front of your face.
Yeah, of course.
We have Gene Deal telling the stories of the time that Misa had to be saved from Diddy, to where he was going at her with his foot up underneath a car. This is decades ago.
Yeah.
When the children were all young. This a battered woman.
Yeah.
And she was sitting up there defending the very man who had done nothing but disrespect to her entire life, and throw money at her and get her to dress people up in clothes from the designers that he selected. Like, all of these people have been they have been controlled. And the financial abuse, forcing people to live off of your money, off of your wage, and then keeping them in line by letting them know, if you don't go along, I'm going to cut you off. These are people that don't know how to live any other way, never lived any other way, need to depend on all of these things. So what happened with the women? And now let's think about the children.
1 second, Tommy. I need to just check on Nova
Sure.
and keep this
Yeah,
going.
knock yourself out.
What about the children? If this is how the children have been raised in this kind of controlling environment, stands to question that they would say anything they're told to, not to get cut off.
Yeah, no question.
I mean, what do you think about what I'm saying, Tom?
Well, it's a control group. It really is. It's an absolute control group. This dude ran his life like a cult, right? There really is not much difference. I've been watching all, the clips of film of him right before they're getting on the boat. Every single person go around to family. No, you got 3 phones. I know you got 3 phones. Got every single person there throwing their cell phones in bags. This was a guy that he is so systematic in everything he did. I always step back and think, there ain't no chance in hell this guy didn't have so much more help. Like, I'm sorry to bag on the guy, but does Diddy honestly look like he is smart enough to pull this off? The number of people that got to be involved in an operation like this?
No.
Yeah.
He's not smart enough. And not because he's stupid, but because he has no impulse control.
Exactly.
He doesn't have the discipline to be able to hold all of this together, which means someone was covering him this entire time.
Yep.
Question is, if my friend Gene Deal is also now like lightweight validating me by saying that when it came to Diddy and Jay-Z, they were a package deal. How do you have a friend like that for that long? That all of a sudden, when RICO was on the table and it's looking like you might get drawn in, all of a sudden y'all not friends? He has not said one thing to denounce
Business associates.
Yes, but even as a business associate, I know plenty of people who stopped doing business and having anything to do with Robert R. Kelly once it was discovered and made very aware of what it was and came out and denounced. That has not happened with the Diddler. Business, whether it's a business associate or a best friend.
They're brothers, man. They're brothers. Miss me with that. I laughed so hard when he said that. They're business associates. Like he just, they're, or industry. That's what they said. They just know each other from the industry. Like every once in a while they run into each other at an award show or whatever. Man, their kids are calling each other uncle. You know what I mean? Like this, they're as tight as, and you're right. Gene Deal has validated that. I mean, he is, in fact, and he said he's not, in fact, I heard it this morning. I was watching it. And what Gene said was, it isn't going to be as bad. I think it's because what you just said. He's got better impulse control, right? You've been saying this from the beginning. Of the two of them, he's more patient, right? And he's smarter. I remember the first time you said calculated. That was the word you used.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Which is how I know they knew all of this was coming. This Peacock documentary that just got released this week went into production in September before I sat with Pierce Morgan.
Yeah, wow. Thank you, Tommy.
Oddly enough.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah. Before I did Pierce Morgan, which was the first time I had on-screen interaction with Ariel Kidd.
Mm.
Now, Ariel Kidd had 2 clients in that documentary. We know one of them. Oh, Courtney B.
Yep.
Lisa Bloom had 1 client, but her client didn't speak.
Yep.
She spoke on behalf of Don Rashad, but Don Rashad did not appear. And then, I mean, think about who was there. No, none of the other victims who were there speaking, there's only the one.
Mm.
That one main one. There was, I mean, honestly, in that documentary, there's 2 victims. I'll be sure. And what's her name? Ashley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were the 2 victims.
Yeah.
I'll be sure's lawyer didn't speak. He spoke. Lisa Bloom spoke. But Don Rashad did not appear. Yet Ariel Kidd did appear.
No.
And 2 of her clients also appeared.
Yeah.
That just seemed a little weird.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Especially considering
when it was filmed.
everything that happened after that.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
What I see is some real mixed in with a bunch of misdirection. Because in my opinion, to include Courtney Burgess in that at all was so disrespectful to Al.
Especially after everything that came out and everything else. I mean, I thought the same thing.
Disrespectful to Al B. Sure.
Or at least use a clip like you did with Jag where he's framed terribly and sounding like a lunatic You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, at least
friend.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm just saying I mean, listen, I'm not saying a lunatic, Courtney, if you're watching, right? I'm not saying you're a lunatic, but you give some spicy answers. You give some spicy answers. But hey, let me just circle back for a second, right?
I just want to really highlight what I just said, and I need to let Tommy go on this. I'm gonna drop this off, and I'm gonna let y'all pick it up. The very man who's been busted for illegally and in a very strange manner releasing Kim Porter's book with all of the salacious stuff that was in it, especially all of the stuff that was added about the so-called threesome between Albert, Diddy, and Kim.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that they had out there in that book. And when you look at it now, you can see it was a clear hit piece on Al B. Sure before he got a chance to tell his story.
Okay.
And that you put him in the same documentary with the man who
Oh, yeah,
had to go after Amazon to take that crap down.
I got your point there. I definitely see your point there, 100%. I definitely see your point.
And I think you're nailing it. And I think it's because of how this thing was built. I would be willing to bet any amount of money. I mean, if you look, first of all, the way they framed a lot of what was said by Albie Shore, the way that they edited that so that he was talking about how the reason he thinks that his bride met her demise, right, was because she was going to meet with Cassie. They kind of framed it in such a way where if you were brand new to it, it made it sound like, so that's the stuff that Burgess has got, right? I mean, it really is like deceptive with how the thing was put together.
It's very deceptive until you speak to a person who knows that Cassie and Kim met at the Ivy, who knows that Kim slid Cassie something. Now, all of a sudden, Chris Todd wants to do interviews talking about it was Kimora. No, it's not. It couldn't be. Kimora's too scared.
I want to get your take on something, Jack.
People got to remember, you had Kimora, you had Kim, and you had Erica. Erica Kennedy is the one that wrote the book, Bling, about the corrupt music industry people and the relationship that this woman had and all of the illicit things. If you go back and read that book now, it lines up with everything we're talking about, with the freak offs, with all of that. She put it out. Kimora told her not to. Kim supported her. And as soon as it hit the bestsellers list, Erica was gone. This was back mid-2000s, like 2012, 2013. For almost a decade now, she's watched both of her best friends that she ran New York with, the Manhattan Three. She's all that's left. And her ex-husband is Russell Simmons.
He ran.
And she was also treated with the G-Unit behavior when she was a kid. Kimora ain't doing nothing.
Okay, I want to hit you with something, Jack. There was something that was said, and it really hit home the mindset of Diddy that I just want to get your take on, because there was a moment.
I wonder if the Ivy burned down.
There was a moment where they were talking about the girl bands that Diddy had put together over the years. And one of them had done something in the studio, and Diddy turns and goes, "Hey, don't worry. If she doesn't sort herself out, I will DURG her and PIMP her out to my N words." Right?
Yeah.
And that's a woman he has built a working relationship with and had, like, he's invested in this person, whether it's business or finance. He's invested in this person, and he's willing to do that to them. And then we apply what you would do behind closed doors to what he's willing to do to the friends of people he knows that are brought to parties, people that have been transported, all of this. Because hearing that level of outspoken hideousness about someone he works with raises the bar of what this man is allegedly capable of behind doors. What's your take on that?
You asking me?
Yeah, because I think for a lot of people, the documentary covers a lot of points that I think are important.
Yeah.
And when Diddy's quoted as saying these things, and this is about somebody who is in a band he manages and produces,
You
and he's
want to know
that
what my
quick.
response is, Ron?
Yeah,
Why ain't nobody asking about all of the people he did that to successfully?
of course, but it must, when we get a direct
You
quote, I
don't
feel
say
it's
things like that
right.
loosely unless you've done them before.
Correct.
You know, there was this time I was out when I was in my party days and still clubbing and stuff like that. And a guy walked up to me and I knew he recognized I was Jaguar, right? I knew. Everyone in that place knew who I was. And he walked up to me and he was like, "You got one of the prettiest mouths I've ever seen." That's where he started. And he said, "Why don't you come out to my car with me and show me what that feel like?" I took a sip of my martini and I looked at him and I was like, "You're not even going to offer me a drink first?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Here's my answer. Not even with your mama's mouth." He got offended, acted like I just rejected him, his rite of passage, and stormed off. And I was all kinds of every kind of female dog you can think about. But what hit me was when he walked away, not that he asked me, but how casually he asked me that. And the first thing that I thought to my mind is, how many chicks has he said that to when it worked?
Yeah.
Right.
Because he didn't say it. Guys don't just walk up to chicks saying wild stuff like that they don't
Yeah.
know. They're afraid to get a drink thrown in their
Yep.
face. They're afraid to,
Yeah.
Not on day one of being a creep. That's high level creepy
not day
behavior.
one.
Correct. It's
But
not
she makes
Intersection.
Mhm.
I'm at the bar minding my business. I get swiped by a weirdo who asked me to give him fellatio because I have one of the prettiest mouths he's ever seen.
Yeah. That's not a day one
I
thing.
should have grabbed that Grey Goose bottle and bust him in the head with it. But instead,
Yeah.
I told him, not even with your mother's mouth.
it's, you know what though, it's an interesting point because it's like Jag was saying earlier, right? So how many times did the guy that said that about your mouth get away with it, and how many people did not call and get an attorney because they still got a contract going, or they still got whatever they've got them tied into this so that they can't say, "Yeah, he did that to me too."
Exactly.
Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is we have now more and more examples of not day one behavior. That was not day one behavior we seen on that video recording of what he did in that hotel. That's not day one behavior. Saying things like that is not day one behavior. And when we get direct quotes, we have to just imagine the levels of pure evil that this man's capable of behind closed doors. Because to say to a group of men, you have to do X, Y, and Z to get anywhere in this industry, and then to turn around to your own girl bands and say PIM is where we're heading, ladies, it is absolutely solidifying all of these little points in that documentary that I feel that they wanted people to go and scratch the labels of in a way, if that makes sense. And and what do you think? Excuse me. When they brought up the girl bands, there was the whole incident with the Pussycat Dolls as well, feeling like they were being transported around.
Well, I mean, they were allegedly, but I know it's not. I know what it is. Nicole Scherzinger, that girl been through a lot. I was so happy when she got that show. What show is she on?
Britain's Got Talent.
The Masked Singer.
Okay.
First time I met her, she was shaking her ass in Spearmint Rhino.
Yeah.
And she was dating.
Yeah.
Haven't y'all noticed most of these female artists that they got now? They stop looking for talent. They go to the strip club. Want to know why? Because those girls are going to be more susceptible to the kind of training that these people are implementing. See, they're used to pimp culture.
Pre-installed conditioning.
Yep.
Wild, man. It's wild. It's specifically in that demographic when we're talking about whoa. Yeah, I think
and those
Tommy,
girls would do anything to not have to go back to that pole.
I agree. You know, I completely agree. And
look at Adria. Look at Adria English.
Okay.
She Diddy herself. Look at her. Like, really look at what that is. Now, this woman already said she was down. This woman already said she just wanted to make it. When me and Odell spoke to her on the phone, and Odell was saying to her, you know, Jag is really against all of the abuses in the industry and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Because I talked to her and I said to her, you know, in one of my earlier interviews, you were the women that I was talking about, the women who were around, who wanted to get that break, who ended up with all of the horror stories and got none of the glory. I said, there's thousands of girls out there who went through all of the same hellish stuff that I went through, but they didn't get to put out an album. They didn't get to go on tour. They got all the horror stories, but they got none of the glory. Adria English is the best example of that. And look at how she was treating. And she said, but Jag, they didn't let me, you got to sing with Jay-Z. They didn't let me do nothing. That's all she's worried about after all this time. Not the abuse, not the pharmaceuticals against your will, not any of the weird X stuff, not any of the graping, not any of the filming. That's not what she's worried about. What she's worried about is that she went through all of that and she didn't even get a video. That's where her mind is after all this time.
Yeah.
So imagine what the girls who did get the contract, who they pulled from off of a corn set or from out of the strip club.
Yep. It takes.
They did get the video. They did get and they got to keep going. They got to keep going. Because if they don't, they're going to send them right back where they came from and they're going to end up like Adria. Don't think he don't tell those stories to those women. You end up like her. Look, you be ready for that meet and greet. And that's sad. Takes a strong person to walk away. I would know. I'm one of those people. But what about all the people that aren't? Like this, and that's why I said this is a fist of domination and tyranny that has been punching through our society and our culture for years. It has to end.
Yeah. All right. So let me just give you one more documentary-based question before I hand it over to Tommy.
Sure.
I just because I need to do my fair share with wonderful little Nova this evening. I want to make sure.
Our little bumpkin. That's my little yum yum. I just want you to know she's little yum yum for me.
I know. Do you know that you have actually initiated terminology and lore into my family life? Do you remember when you said she looked like a little turkey sitting on my stomach? Like that's exactly. So now you forevermore, all the little kids that are born from here on in my family, we have this. She looks like a little turkey because she either looks like a loaf where she tucks everything in, or she looks like a turkey. And he
It
nailed it.
looked like
And
she was just getting ready for the roasting pan.
literally. So she's doing this thing right now where she really calms down with me. And it's a case of investing half an hour of my time against 4 hours of nightmare for Dan. Tommy, I think is just having to deal with an emergency there, so I will be sticking around just now. But let me just hit you with some more questions, Jack, before Tommy takes over, because we spoke about you seeing this from a viewer's point of view, and you know it was interesting for me seeing the people you've been speaking of, right? For a start, my whole life I've known the name I'll Be Sure, but completely have been saying I'll Be Short for my whole life and didn't realize it was a clever play on words and his name was I'll Be Short. Like, it's really clever. And I only realized that when his name came up on the screen, right? And and again, when I say you should put something together that puts faces to all the names, because it made like, I wish that had came out before I met you. Do you know what I mean? Because it would have made your passion for things a lot more understandable for me. You know what I mean?
A lot of people don't take that my passion is based in outrage, screaming at the injustice, and the people that I love whose lives I've watched just not along with mine. You know, that's why I could never complain about the hell that ensued upon me. I was speaking for my friend's life and I was speaking for his legacy, and I'll never regret that.
But what is interesting is now that I've got a face and I know how to bloody say his name properly, it puts in perspective your passion. Imagine we didn't work in a podcast together and I was a passive viewer, and I didn't have a way to get caught up on all the Jaguar that was 90 minutes and easy to consume.
Yeah.
If I don't go and do that own work, you could quite easily come off as somebody who is just passionately speaking about stuff, but I'm just going to tune out because I don't know the intricacies of the lore. And I think it would work to your benefit to give everyone a Cliff Notes version of everyone that's, you know, part of your passion journey with this, because
why don't you talk to Odell and y'all figure that out? Because I have no problem with being a historian. I just
that's what I'm saying.
The fact that I'm a historian of pain.
Well, one way or another, I'm wanting to create something with you that just helps new people get up to speed in 90 minutes.
I love that. I'd love to do that because people do need to get up to speed, because the truth is a lot of this stuff happened before the internet.
Yep.
And the stuff that's happened since the internet has taken over, they're scrubbing it.
Yeah, I agree. I just think,
know what's wild? I just talked to MIA, right, yesterday, and I had asked her about something, and she clarified it for me, because it was a couple of weeks ago, right before she did Candace Owens.
Yeah.
Just where there was a video of her cursing out Beyonce and cursing out Adele, and remember? Did you see that?
I need to just quickly run to help. But before I go, the reason I'm saying this is your words have way more weight behind them when people understand fully who we're talking about, who's involved, and all of that. I've got a totally different perspective of I'll Be Sure now.
Yeah,
I totally get it. I've looked into the man's eye. The man also, as well, it takes a rare man can pull off one of those hats, right? That he was wearing in that. He nailed it. Like, completely nailed it. And I know I'll Be Sure is the iceberg in this. We've got the visible 10% and the 90%. He's had to play the way that he's playing it, and I respect it. And I just think that your words are so powerful.
I told everybody everything. It could put people's lives.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm stupid enough. I'm not crazy enough to be saying that. But I think it would be really good to be able to go, oh, you're new to Jag. Here's the Cliff Notes. Here's the 90 minutes. Go get caught up.
Let's break it out, because I want everybody to get up to speed. I don't want them to miss the history that's about to be made.
I agree. Okay, I'm going to go and see to Nova. Tommy, if you can try and keep Jag on the documentary for the next 30 minutes, and then we should.
I can't make any promises, Holmes. No,
All
I'm
right, well,
kidding. Yeah, no, of course. We're going to talk about it. I promise.
all right, good. I'll nip back in, but I just need to go and do my thing. So anyway, thank you very much.
No, take care of it. Have a good time. Yeah. So listen, this is while I was watching this documentary. I'm now going to have to go back and
Do you
watch it
mind
again.
if I cam down for just a second time?
No, I don't mind if you cam down at all. You're
Okay.
good. Just don't leave me.
I'm not here.
One of the things that while I was watching this documentary, and then I probably would like to go back and watch it again, knowing exactly when it was made was kind of fascinating to me because it does change the entire perspective on this. But the gentleman that and you probably discussed this before I came on, but one of his best friends from life, right, from growing up, lived in the same house with him. Actually had moved into Tim. That's right. Had gone off into the military, but this gentleman has left the music industry and has moved into the middle of nowhere. And he described it as, well, I'm somewhere out in the woods. I guess you'd call it off the grid. He did not want to even give people a part of the country. And I found this fascinating. The whole hidden room in his toilet, in the bathroom, he's got a wall that slides out of the way so you can go and look at the trophies of his life, like his gold albums and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It was fascinating to me that it looks like this man literally ran from the world. What does that say about this industry and about the people that he was associating with and doing business with?
It says that he really underestimated who was watching, because I know those treetops. I know exactly where he is.
Wow.
And I hope you hear me, Tim. I know exactly where you are. If I can figure it out. But, you know, it speaks to, it got real. He tried to get away. What I don't understand is I want to know what happened to his son. Because it was like he walked away. And then his son died. It's funny. That's what happened to me.
No.
I walked away and my grown son died.
I had one other question for you, Jag, because I thought for me it was fascinating. This is the Peacock Network, right? This is the same people as NBC. The difference in how they treated Voldemort, right? Jay's accuser versus how they treated the Diddy accuser was like
Night and
day, right?
Same network. Tell me something. Why didn't they handle the autistic woman with the same care that they handled this woman?
Well, because I think he's still being protected, right?
I mean, as much as he can be.
Right.
I mean, there's this woman out there named Jaguar Wright.
Good. How's Ziggy?
Yeah, he's just coming down off an infection. So he's going to be fine. And thanks everybody for your concern. But yeah, he's all been checked out. He's good. We've got the onions chopped up. We're good to go.
Excellent.
It works. It works.
Yes.
Is this the bottom of the feet onions? Yeah, no, this does work. I learned that from the brothers in prison. They do that all the time, man. They'll buy them out of the kitchen for that. That works. That's no joke.
And it draws it right out.
Yeah.
And gives the immune system a chance to recalibrate naturally.
Yeah, we don't need big pharma. F big pharma.
Yes, I'm with you 100%.
But anyway, I've missed what you guys have been talking about. I apologize for repeating myself. But watching the documentary then, so I'll be sure what he said, does that give some credibility to Courtney saying about the diary?
Well, this is the thing. What I said when I sat with you guys, when me and Courtney went head to head, technically would give validity to Courtney, technically, except for the fact that he can't be honest about how he got it. See, I made it very clear that I knew it was real, that it had been disseminated and parceled out in pieces. And I knew he wasn't one of the people that got anything. I know that. I'll be sure said very plain and clear. The diary was real. The memoir was real, but it was incomplete. I have also said on several occasions last year that if I were them, I would have got my hands on some of that book, whipped a whole bunch of horse shit around it, and let it create all the reasonable doubt out there in the world that I needed to. And it looks like that's exactly what happened. Whatever him and Chris Todd did, it was fabricated greatly. They took real information. Now the question is who they get it from. Because I know what I received and I know when I passed it on. I know who I gave it to. And that person don't know no Courtney Burgess and they never heard of no Courtney Burgess. And I will not say who it was on either end, coming or going. What I will say is, whoever they got it from, somebody need to check their financials because I guarantee you're going to find a new house, a new car, something. They found that. When Diddy found out that Kim was writing that, he went into cleanup mode. People are also forgetting that Baby Love's mom was spying on Kim for Diddy. She didn't find out until late in the game.
And what about all the pneumonia stuff?
That house was also broken into a year after Kim passed away. Who breaks into an empty house? In that kind of neighborhood, they went looking for something. I guess they were looking for the rest of the pieces they couldn't get their hands on.
There was a lot of insinuating about the medical method of unaliving regarding pneumonia. What were your thoughts on that?
Limonia?
Pneumonia.
I call it limonia.
Limonia.
Pneumonia is something that happens naturally. And with proper health care, you can survive it. But see, that limonia, it just creep up out of nowhere. Every time somebody about to tell the truth, that's going to expose a lie. Next thing you know, here come the limonia. Low bar limonia. Allegedly, just like Brittany Murphy had. Low bar limonia. You know, it's
And her husband.
Yeah. Ashton?
No, the one that she was married to about a month and a half after she passed, he did.
Oh yeah. He was out of here too. Kind of just like how Bobby Christina passed away and then Nick Gordon passed away right after her.
I didn't realize how close Albie Shaw was to death, as portrayed in the documentary.
On several occasions. I wasn't joking or exaggerating when I said we prayed him back from the grave. That zipper that they cut in him. The last time they opened it up, they said the whole medical team jumped back. They said it looked like a bomb had went off inside of him.
Oh.
I don't talk about that often because that was a very, very, very personal. And he made it through. And we don't acknowledge what he's been through. We acknowledge what we got to keep on the other side of it. But as someone who has also been poisoned,
So what did you make of that part in the documentary where they had him pausing about what he could and couldn't say?
I mean, I remember when me and Albert first talked about his documentary. Kim was alive and Giovanni was alive. And then him and Kim did the video shoot with Quincy. And I was so happy for them. I guess Diddy just couldn't bear it. Seeing the family that he worked so hard to destroy reuniting. Imagine somebody with so much jealousy and envy that they can't do what they want to do to you, that they're willing to take everything you love and hold it like a hostage. It's disgusting. What's more disgusting is that all of this stuff has happened in plain sight and people just look right by. I guess that's what my purpose is. To make sure people just don't walk by.
So do you think a lot more is going to come out from
Oh,
Albie
yes.
Shaw?
Oh, yes. I'm going to put it to you this way. Of the totality of his story, y'all heard 3%.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I thought he was pretty clear too. You could see that he was he started a sentence and just went, yeah, I can't talk about that. We're in litigation on this. So obviously he's taking his shot. And so I think he's just protecting what he's got going. But I'm looking forward to the day when all of it comes out. That's the beautiful thing about court.
It's coming. It's coming, but we have to get all of the Diddler's allies off the streets too. Like, I don't think people understand what the word enterprise means. You know? The Combs enterprise. He's being held on RICO, which means there is a criminal organization working together in tandem and in concert, which means if you have a Hydra, just because you cut off one segment doesn't mean the other four aren't able to operate still. As long as Jay-Z's on the street, there is no justice for Albie Shaw. I know people don't want to accept it. I know they don't want to draw the line. But until we can get the whole Loch Ness Monster, all limbs, locked in tight, everyone who is sitting on the truth has to sit on it just a little bit longer, because the truth is, what's the point in going to authorities that are just going to tell you there's nothing that they can do because that person is protected?
So is one of the co-conspirators in the criminal enterprise the guy called Shane that Ariel said was a scouter?
I mean, I'm sorry. I just have a hard time acknowledging or registering anything that divisive broad has to say is true. I don't. I thought it was also very interesting and telling that they reached out to get the police report that Ashley put in that was refused to be given, even though it should be public record by now. And if Ariel Mitchell Kidd is such a great attorney, why does she keep failing all of her clients, or just, picking up ones that are nothing but lying sacks of shit?
McKenna's asking who is Shane. So in the documentary that we're talking about, The Making of a Bad Boy, Ariel has this case of someone who was allegedly R-worded with a remote control, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Shane was allegedly the scouter for Diddy in this allegation. So that's the Shane that we're referring
That
to.
story has changed as well, because it was initially said that the beginning of that story, and this is the thing that I find interesting, they keep talking about the story, but they keep segmenting things out that were initially said that they're now stopping ever since the RICO charges have been put firmly in place since the arrest. Allegedly, Ashley was on the phone and she was talking to Diddy. Someone, I guess it's the Shane person, put her on the phone with Diddy. And I guess Diddy was asking her if she wanted to party and hang out. And she said, no, because I know what you did to Tupac. And then that's when she was coerced to come to the next location where Diddy was with Christina Coram, who also administered unlawful medical procedure on this woman at the same time, while, during the midst of the whole graping with the remote control. Like, that wasn't just some freak off. That woman was brought there to be punished because she called him out for doing what allegedly we all believe he did to Tupac Shakur. That wasn't just some wild moment of SA passion. That was done to her to make sure she never talked about the Tupac thing again. And how do you have that client and that lawyer in that documentary and that part be completely excluded? Sounds like all these people need to get fired. They just need to hire me.
There did seem to be a lot left out.
A lot left out.
And a lot left in. Courtney made a good appearance, which is odd.
Listen to me. I hope you enjoyed it, you big head monkey. After the way he spoke about my son, I don't know if y'all know, since he came here and did the foolishness he did the last time, him and Adria decided they was going to go live and try to convince the whole world that I had my son sacrificed.
Oh,
Disrespectful
Did you know that?
shit. Yeah, I saw that.
no.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
I'm sorry, Ariel kid. I don't believe you. You got She Diddy as a victim. You got Courtney Bum as a victim. You were representing Jamal, Todd, whatever. You seem to be involved with a lot of frauds. And meanwhile, there's a very real victim on your roster. And the most important part of her story, you didn't make sure they put that. If they couldn't get the police report, you couldn't make sure that story made it? You don't sound like much of an attorney to me. I'm glad you fleed me. Who would want you representing them? That was your big moment. You've been sitting around, running around, doing all these interviews. Then you disappear right before this comes out. And the most important part of your client's story, you don't include. But you did make sure to get that big face buffoon up there who disrespected my friend with all of the very unreal details that were put in that very real cry for help. And that's what I was saying when me and Courtney first went at it the first time. None of this sex stuff got anything to do with this woman's actual real story. Because tales of the abuse were in that diary. And more than what they put in there. Truth is, would nobody be even talking about Cassie if Kim had lived? Because it would have been Kim and her diary and her evidence that she had been collecting for years that would have had Diddy probably convicted already by now. See, The Cassie allegation is easier to beat. You couldn't beat Kim. You couldn't beat Kim at all, which is why you've gone out of your way to terrorize everybody and anybody that knew that it existed or had any interaction with it, including me. It's sad.
So, Jack, if you were to rank the people in the documentary in order of credibility, where would you put Gene Deal?
Let me give you my lineup. I'll be sure. Ashley, Gene Deal, and then you can do what you want to do with the rest of them.
That's a great answer.
Jess is wondering, talk about the guy who remained anonymous in the documentary. It sounded like Courtney. Who was that guy?
That was not Courtney, and it wasn't Little Rod. But if it is who I think it is, out of respect for him and his family, I won't even think about trying to remember his name. Because he had footage from inside the studio. And they just showed that clip. I'm sure there's a lot more.
So Sonia's wondering your thoughts on how Diddy might feel about Cassie now having a beautiful family. Do you think she will finally be left in peace?
Well, I mean, I think it would be wise for people to go back and watch his acceptance speech on BET for his Lifetime Achievement Award. When Young Miami was there as his paramour, holding a banner that says, "Go Daddy."
He thanks her.
And he didn't thank
Dark times.
her. He thanked Cassie
For holding it down.
for holding him down through the dark times after she had moved on and married and started a family. Is everyone forgetting how people were saying how Diddy was still approaching Cassie as if they were still in a relationship after she had left him while she was with Mr. Fine, her husband? You heard about that, right? Like he was still pretending, he was still including her in posts while she was a married woman. And people kept, even 50 Cent said something to say about it. Man, when's the time to let go? He said, I don't know when I feel like letting go. He said he bragged about still going after Cassie while she was newly married and it just had a baby. They're like, but they married, they have a baby. He's like, well, you know, it's my girl. That's how he was still referring to her. And if we pay attention to what the documents in the lawsuit said, after she left him, he came and he assaulted her one more time. So I want you to think about all of that. And now let's rewind 30 years and think about the story my friend Albert just told you about what Diddy did to him and his wife. And even though he went through all of that trouble to claim Kim away from Albie Shore, he still turned around and got their other friend Sarah pregnant while him and Kim were together, which is why the twins and Chance are so close in age. He was sleeping with all of the friends, and he was friends with all of their boyfriends and husbands. I don't know. That to me is a clear line of that's behavior. That's calculated behavior that's been going on for 30 years. This man does not know how to take no for an answer. This man must have what else. You know, did you ever see The Count of Monte Cristo?
I read it. Yeah.
Thinking about this story now, it makes me think about that. Whether you read it or whether you saw the film, any one of them. There was one line when Count Mondego, because it was Edmond Dantes and Count Mondego. And Count Mondego was the wealthy son of, nobility. And Edmond Dantes was a hardworking guy who was working his way up in the world the honest way. He was in love with a beautiful woman. And every time Edmond turned his back, Fernand is sitting there all up in Mercedes' face. You're gonna be mine one day. You don't want to be the wife of a ship hand. I'm noble, and you should leave him for me. And whoopty whoopty woo. And she looked at him and she said, "Do you remember when we were children? And you got a pony for Christmas, and Edmond got that whistle, and Edmond was so happy with his whistle that it pissed you off, and you didn't even appreciate the horse you had just gotten." And she looked at him in the story and says, "Fernand, I am not going to be your new whistle." And what did he do? He turned around, set his friend up, let him go to jail for the rest of his life for a crime he didn't commit that he set up. And what did he end up having for all of that time? He had Mercedes, and he had the child that he posed as his family, his son, his wife, and he made it seem like he did the noble thing because his friend was unalive. And so he came in and then they had a baby. Turns out it was Edmond baby all along. Now, whether he knew it was Edmond's baby or not, who knows? But what mattered to him was being able to take the one thing that made another human being so happy. And guess what? He wasn't happy for long either. He was running around cheating on Mercedes with every woman and whore in Paris and all of that. He went through all of that to get it. And then lost interest. She had said it to him. All I'm going to be to you is a new whistle. And that's how I feel about Diddy. This is a terribly unhappy person that when he sees happiness on another human being, he wants to take it and claim it for himself because he thinks if he gets it, it's going to make him feel better. And then he gets it, and then he just doesn't care anymore. And then he goes off looking for a new whistle. All of these relationships with these women that he's had publicly have overlapped. Publicly. Meanwhile, we can't stop hearing about all these male victims that happened in the midst of all of these overlapping female relations. Do y'all see where I'm going? I'm going to fall back. I'm going to let y'all talk.
Tommy, what have you got?
To me, this is it's never been about the male, the female, anything. This is a guy that gets his rocks off making people do things they don't want to do. Right. So if you could get somebody that's heterosexual and force them to do something that's goes against that, that's about as far as you can push a human being to get them to do something that is outside your comfort zone. Right. Sleep with the sex you're not accustomed to sleeping with. That's about as bad as you can do. And we keep hearing in all of these lawsuits where he'll say to a bodyguard, "You get in there, you do it next." And everybody assumes that the bodyguard's like, "Yeah, let's do this." My gut is he's probably making these people do things that they're going to regret for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? You heard in the documentary, right? You get that coat, right? You get that gear. It's blood in, it's blood out. And, we even hear him joking about that in videos, and then he giggles afterwards, but it doesn't seem like he was kidding much, right? They really have gone out of their way to kind of build this thing into it's a Diddy cult, that whole damn enterprise. And you're right. It's an enterprise, right? We got a letter coming out on February 1st called the Enterprise Letter, and it's going to spill out all of this crap and tell us who was there and who wasn't. I know people keep saying they're worried that Jay's going to walk. Man, you said that about Diddy, right? You did. All you sent me emails for a long time.
Diddy.
Yeah, damn right.
Everybody told me I was crazy. And where is Diddy?
DC, Brooklyn.
Now, see, understand this. I'm not a Diddy victim, but I have survived and am still surviving Sean Carter. I promise you, if y'all think I was willing to go that hard on Diddy, y'all have no idea what I'm prepared to do for Mr. Carter. They're all going. I pray to God, and when I pray, he answers my prayer. They're going to make it hard. And guess what? You know what happens when you in a car accident and you tense up? You end up breaking more things.
Yeah. But drunk people always survive.
It's better to just be relaxed and let things go. But the harder you fight it, the harder your pain is going to be. Am I wrong, Tommy?
Not at all. And I'm telling you that we're gonna see him. This is the same situation. This is the exact same situation. This is the third time we've seen it, right? We saw it with R. Kelly. People are terrified because these people victimize so many people and they're so flagrant. They got zero impulse control and they're in your face. When they disappear, then people start when they're not in fear anymore. The truth will come out in a bigger way, and it's going to happen. 2025, it's going to happen.
I pray to God that I have something to do with that. I really do. I pray to God that in my last days, when I'm taking my last breath, I can look back and say, I got the world to tell the truth.
Oh, you can already say that. You can. And you inspired a lot of people who are chasing this down, whether you realize it or not. There's a lot of people that are fighting this and are involved in this because of the work you did.
Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that, Tommy.
That's a fact. I've always said this is your fight. I'm jumping on board, but this is definitely I got turned on to this by watching what you were doing. It was captivating.
Yeah, you're the tip of the spear. You've got a question from Misinformation. Who in the documentary have sold their souls to the devil, in your opinion?
I ain't got the right to speak on nobody's soul. One time, I sold my soul to the devil. I'd rather you ask me, who do I think can make it back? You know, we all sell a little bit of ourselves sometimes. We don't even know it. So many of those people walked into those white parties and had no idea that they were going into rituals that were designed to mesmerize them and to steal their true salvation away from them. I think we should really just stop judging where people lie spiritually and really just stick to the facts. It don't matter who sold their soul. Everything is redeemable. Everyone is redeemable. And I'm living proof of that. That part, Tommy.
Damn right, man. That's the basis of my life. I believe that more than anything in the world. And that's why I get up every morning.
Got a question from Gems. Hi, Jag. What were you about to say about your convo with MIA when you asked her about those videos?
Oh, she was AI'd. Whatever that rant video was that went mini viral 2 days before she sat with Candace Owens, it was AI. Just like they tried to do with me a couple months ago. Isn't that something? That whole rant that everyone was making a big deal about wasn't even real. Wasn't even her. And it's interesting. We have the same enemy as well. Actually, I don't even want to call it an enemy. It's just an adversary at this point. Because Rock Nation did the same thing to her career that they have been actively doing to mine. I don't know what it's going to take to get people to realize there's nothing that these people won't do to keep the frame in place. We just got to do a better job at not being fooled by it.
Camellia, Jag's social links for contact, Instagram, etc. in the description box, and Jag's YouTube channel. I'll put that in the live chat as well now. People can want to subscribe. Jag's doing regular lives over there, and there's a hell of a lot less restriction, censorship than we've got on this channel. So, and I was on it recently.
Well, you
as
know,
well.
I like dancing on that line, you know. You know, I dance on that line sometimes just to see if I'm gonna touch the wrong side. You know, they tell me I'm a line stepper. I disagree. I'm a line dancer.
Well, Candace has certainly been on that line and gone over it a little bit. Yeah, so I've been watching her quite a lot as well recently.
Yeah. Of
she's
course, they
saying some
wanted to
good stuff.
discredit her before she went to Candace. Of course.
Joanne wants to know, is the documentary balanced or pro Diddy?
I think it's balanced, and I think it's pro reasonable doubt.
It's interesting what's not in it as much as what's in
Very
it.
interesting.
Oh, this is an interesting one. I don't know if you've touched on it yet.
Great
Your
question.
thoughts
Hey,
on
Akia.
Bieber unfollowing Usha?
He didn't just unfollow Usher, he also unfollowed his father-in-law.
And the best man at his wedding and one of his security guards, right? He
Because I
got
think
busy.
he's finally popping out of the fog.
He didn't unfollow Diddy yet, which I find there's got to be a message in that, right? I mean, he unfollows all these people, but doesn't unfollow Diddy. I don't know what that means, but that's weird.
Well, I'm sure that was a PR move. Because the second that he does unfollow Diddy, everyone's going to be waiting for his victim statement to come out. He's not going to unfollow Diddy until he's brave enough to come forward. But I think right now he's looking all around him. And I hope he's questioning that marriage. Because for a father-in-law to brag about introducing his adolescent daughter to a teeny bopper pop star and then saying, I let Justin Bieber marry my daughter. Your daughter's a model who was running around with Bella Hadid and the other girls. I know what your daughter was doing before she married Justin Bieber. You didn't do Justin Bieber a favor. You did your daughter a favor. Because you knew exactly where she was heading for. And from what I heard, she was in a shipping container or two in Dubai, allegedly. She marries Justin. You come in management. Y'all live happily ever after on all the money that he made and all the suffering that he did. And you keep going back to the elites, handling him for them. They ain't nothing but Schluminati babysitters. Got that baby pushed out fast, too. Look at Cardi B. Look at her life. It's a mess. And I told her, you don't keep having babies by that fool. Because they're going to use those kids to trap you up. And even if Justin does wake all the way up and leaves his wife, she got that baby. And a baby, it's the best kind of liquid handcuffs you can put on somebody.
I'm telling you, it's an anchor. It definitely is an anchor. especially if you're solid. I mean, if you're one of those people that doesn't run out, you're
More
hooked.
importantly than that, they like hanging with the people that like hurting kids. You want your child raised by them?
And there's been some cryptic messages coming out of that dude. I don't know. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, so this is an opinion, right? We'll leave it right at that. But I don't know whether he uses or what the deal is. But he comes out with some stuff that he just looks. The last one he did, I don't know if y'all saw it, but his last post on, I think it was Instagram, or if it wasn't, it was X. But he looked toasted, right? And he's doing this, the thing about the industry. It was weird as hell, man. That dude's his father-in-law's a creep. He's a really weird guy.
I don't understand why nobody is taking into consideration that MK Ultra might be involved. If anybody would be a perfect candidate for the MK Ultra program, it would be Justin Bieber, wouldn't it?
It's like
Shadows.
a modern adaptation of it.
And by the way, just for anyone, I hope there's nobody out there that still thinks that's a conspiracy theory or anything. I did the FOIA on that in prison for somebody else. It was the first time I had ever done any of this, because you can only do so many as a convict. As an inmate, you can do a couple a year. So the guy came to me and said, "Hey man, have you used your FOIA?" I said, "I don't know what a FOIA is," right? So he had me write it out. And while we were on a lockdown, it came to my cell. I swear to God, man, it was 4 feet high. It was 4 feet high. They delivered this stuff. And they throw in stuff like people's timesheets. Nothing was in order. Stuff's redacted, but it's in there. That program existed. They just did they make it real hard to read. But yeah, I that was my first FOIA ever. I was pretty proud of myself. That was the first
And
one.
Yeah,
let's be clear on this. They want you to believe that it all happened just in movies. Yet, the saying, art imitates life, not the other way around.
You're getting asked about the 50 Cent Diddy documentary, whether you've been approached, when you think it's going to come out.
Why would Curtis Periwinkle Jackson ask me to do anything when if he invited me, I'd probably burn down his set? Considering what he's doing in my beloved Shreveport, Louisiana, I don't like it. And the truth is, him doing the Diddy documentary is just his way of rewriting history to make sure he doesn't get implicated, in my opinion. Because he knew all about this stuff and he never blew the whistle. How many times do I have to remind people of the interview that he did? Was it on the Breakfast Club or somewhere else, where he was talking about how he had gotten a video of Cassie being ravaged by multiple men in a very aggressive manner? And he said he called Diddy and he asked Diddy, did he know that was out there? And Diddy like, yeah, man, she loves it. She loves it. It's cool. He was like, I thought you said you love this girl. He was like, yeah, she loves it. She loves it. You want to come get down? Clearly, that was footage that came allegedly from a freak off. Everything that he described about what he saw those men doing to Cassie sounded like a freak off, which means that 50 Cent himself had access to the freak off tapes before HSI went running up in that house. And now you want to do a documentary? What do I think? I think it's cheeky. And I think it's going to be a load of bullocks. And I think it's all going to be a bunch of stuff to try to make everybody else look like the wanker he is too. How's my Brit talk? Do I still have it?
Yeah, you're getting there. You're getting there. Dodo Max.
You know, I remember it very. I miss London so much. Look at me. I'm even having a fag.
Dodo Max. Do you think the freak-offs have stopped since Diddy's been put in jail?
No. This is ritual now. And a lot of people that attended these parties are addicted to the behavior. People keep forgetting about the importance of dopamine being attached to these very explosive situations. We know what happens to people when they're on medication and they running loose out here in these streets. All of these people are highly medicated with body chemical reactions, all of that going off and in the mind. You heard Bow Wow, he's practically crying for a freak off. The party's over. It's not fun no more. This has been normalized for many years. And yet
Even
it
the
brings
people in
us
the
right back.
documentary were saying it.
Yeah.
Right? They said we all knew about the after party was something people were talking about decades ago. Everybody knew that they were using the O word, orgies were going on.
Do people
knew.
know about an after secret party? If it's a secret, how did everybody know it happened? How does everybody know about something that's not supposed to happen? That don't make no sense. Like, it's the things. I remember talking to someone in the industry that I know. The first time I heard that phrase, that's what all the PR reps were telling everyone to say. Oh, I went to the white party. I didn't go to the after party. How would you know there was an after party? If the white party ended, then you would have left. How did you know about the after party after party? And if you did know about it and you didn't go, then that means somebody would have had to have told you who was there at the after party after party. And if someone told you and they told you any of these things that are here out on the news, then why didn't any of y'all go to the authorities? That's weird. Or is it just me?
Weird.
Well, you know, when the Me Too thing was happening and the Harvey Weinstein stuff came out, a bazillion and one people came out and said, yeah, I might have known Harvey, but this is unacceptable. And this is not the kind of behavior. I mean, everybody, right?
Mm.
And when this happened with Diddy and with Voldemort, everybody went, I mean, nothing, radio silence. Nobody wants to come out and say, because they're all afraid somehow if their name gets anywhere near this, they might be found on a tape later or something. I don't know. But
See,
everybody seems to be quiet.
That's what's funny. That's how you know Weinstein wasn't as wild as the diddler. Because everybody's afraid. Because everybody went to Diddy parties. Y'all saw that video when he sat there with the little girl. Who's coming to the party? Ellen and Oprah and Tyler Perry. Oh, yeah.
For 5 minutes.
The list of names. The Obamas. Yeah, the list of names. The list. There's a lot of lists. Yeah,
Anne's wondering. Anne's wondering why Diddy hasn't been like that with J-Lo, calling her name out, etc.
Well, I mean, my answer to that is Natanya Rubin.
Yep.
That's my answer. Say her name. Diddy and J-Lo had a very, very, very tight-knit relationship. Gene Deal still thinks very highly of her, or at least highly as you can for somebody in her position. I know on another side, what I will say is this. When you see two people that got the kind of complicated personal history that they have together and separately, because I think people really are just in denial about Jennifer Lopez. This is a woman that's been, she's competing with Elizabeth Taylor. Has she beaten her yet? On the husband front, the lovers ranked the dozens. And almost every relationship that she's been in allegedly has been an open bisexual relationship, including with her husband, Mark Anthony. And I'm not saying allegedly. If you want to sue me, Mark, you can. But just because everyone else forgot about why Hawthorne got canceled doesn't mean that I did. And there's enough corroborating facts to know that what was the story about when Diddy got mad at Jada and Will because they tried to pick J-Lo up and Diddy was about to do this and do that? Well, it sounds like they finally got their way with her.
Called them out on the nighttime talk shows.
These are not innocent people.
She got a pretty honking career without doing a whole lot of singing. You really got to respect that.
She
She's a
never
singer that
could
doesn't sing.
She never could sing. She's a hell of a dancer. I'll give her that. She can
And her
dance.
timing is perfect, right? I mean,
She can dance.
yeah, she can dance.
She learned how to act, even though the box office and the streaming numbers ain't reflecting that these days.
HRH is asking, how do you know so much? Love you, Jag. Could listen to you 24/7.
You know, the funny thing is that people still ask me that question. I have been attached to the actual entertainment, music industry, and entertainment as a whole since I was a child. There is not one person that you've heard me talk about that I don't know or don't have personal history with. The only reason it's so hard for people to believe is because of how hard they work to erase my efforts in my career, just like they did my friend, I'll Be Sure. Because I guess everyone forgot that I'll Be Sure invested in Uptown Records while Diddy was just an intern stalking Andre Harrell for a job.
That came out in that documentary too. That without his hits and without the money that he put back in, he built that. That's the, you know what I mean? It was his success that got Uptown where it was.
I know. And Diddy ruined it all. And then the next thing you know, Clive Davis moved Andre Harrell aside for the diddler. And here comes Bad Boy Records.
Here's an interesting question I've not seen before.
What?
So it's from Tilu. Nicki Minaj, I got the vibe she wants to expose things but has been silenced via MK Ultra, especially because of her alters or DID personalities. What do you know?
What I find funny is that people actually think she is DID. When you suffer from dissociative identity disorder, and let's be very clear about this, and I can say it for a fact because they tried to diagnose me with it when I was young, and I was cleared. When you have a dissociative mental mindset, your alters don't know each other. There's no way you can be aware of all of your alters unless you've been integrated. And then if you're integrated, then you're no longer DID, which means you can't have other personalities unless you're choosing to. Now, is Onika sick in my opinion? Absolutely. But she ain't got no DID. What she has is Diddy. See, that's what she suffered from. She suffered from Diddy, DIDDY. That was her manager. That was her mentor. And he invented her to move Little Kim out of the way so he didn't have to keep feeling guilty about stealing Christopher Wallace's legacy. Now, if you want to know why Onika won't speak, it's probably because she's just as big a predator as the rest of them. I mean, who marries a level 3 SA offender? Who does that?
You got a message from Ada Santiago. Hi, Jag, it's me. Remember me? We talked on Maggie's Live.
Yeah.
Please share my story, please.
Ada, I think that would be better for you to do.
Usually.
What I am hoping is that you've taken my advice. Know that we're all praying for you and your children. And I hope you've been checking those adoption agencies, like I've said. Now, that's all I'll share here, because what I do not want is for all of the hoopla that chases me to chase your very real story. It should come from you. And if Sean should choose to invite you here to talk about your story, I have no problem with joining the panel as a supporter.
Great idea.
But I cannot speak for you on this. Not today. But when you're ready to speak, I got your back.
Got a question from Truth Only. Was the marriage with J-Lo and Ben a whole distraction, or did they actually love each other?
I mean, I don't see why both can't be true at the same time. The man already said, because you know they had 2 weddings. They had the first one in Vegas and then they had the proper one to get it done. But the first one in Vegas, he said he was drunk. He didn't even remember they got married. And then they went and did the official thing. All of this happened just before the Diddy floor fell through. And, you know, I think people keep forgetting that J-Lo was able to walk away from everything that happened to Natanya Rubin after a quickie marriage, a hit movie, and then she settled in with Ben Affleck, and everyone forgot about what happened to Natanya.
Well said.
Versace dress and a marriage to an Oscar winner. And it got people to forget about what happened to my friend, and I can call her that now, Natanya Rubin.
Our friends.
Yeah, our friend. And yeah, I think she thought it would work again. I do. And I think she thought it would be great for her career. Working with Ben, and working with Matt, and working with Clooney. Not as an actress, but as an equal, a producer. Yeah, it all looked really good. You know, it's just funny. It's just funny. These
Question from
people don't have any respect for these real institutions.
Question from Hiker Mom. Queen Jag, do you think Diddy and the higher-ups have something to do with Wendy Williams' current situation? Is her ex-husband involved too?
In my opinion, yes and yes.
She came live today, didn't she? I believe she was on.
Did an interview on the Breakfast Club, which kind of pissed me off, but I understand why she would do it there. Because her word would get traction and they were going to run it. I just hate the fact that it had to be Charlemagne, because Charlemagne, in my opinion, is also one of the people that helped stab her in the back. I'm not saying
Robin's
it was perfect, but nobody deserves to have their life systematically gaslit and plotted on and decimated. Nobody.
Robin's wondering whether you think President Trump is on the right track.
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I don't talk to that man.
Well, he nominated John Voight and Mel Gibson to be the ambassadors of Hollywood and to go in and try to clean this up. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. Today, he announced
what
that the
I will
ambassadors.
say-
Wow.
I'm not. You can Google it. I'm not playing. Hey, it's my fiance.
Mel Gibson, I can understand why everyone's so upset about that. I think I'm more upset about John Voight than I am Mel Gibson. You know, like between those two, if I had to put a disclaimer on it, I would have to say that, Mel Gibson is Diddy and John Voight is Jay-Z. John Voight.
So he missed the boat wide then, real wide.
But as far as Mel Gibson, you can have all kinds of feelings about Kanye West, but when you hear Jesus Walks, it kind of just gives him a grace, And I guess I kind of feel the same way when it comes to Mel Gibson. He did Passion of the Christ. It was an epic, amazing depiction of a story that's been trivially, all the emotion was trivialized out of it. And he really brought it home, the sacrifice that was made for salvation. And his life has been in the toilet ever since. And I think Hollywood, which we know is mostly controlled by one social group of people. I think giving them Mel Gibson is great. In my opinion, I think that's kick ass. All of these weirdos that went after him for making Passion of the Christ, and now the president is enabling him to come back and kick all their asses. I think it's great. I don't know. Maybe it's just the anarchist in me. Man, yeah. I want to see that. I want to see what Hollywood is going to have to say to Mel Gibson. He might do Passion of the Christ. Like, he might do sequels now on some Star Wars stuff. But I think that our country is in a very unconventional place. We're in a very unconventional time, and it's going to take unconventional methods to deal with the very serious systemic issues that we have as a people, and how what's happening here in America is affecting the world globally at large. I think there's going to be a lot of things that people aren't going to be able to. I feel bad because we're friends and there's something that I'm hiding from you guys.
Well,
Because
as
now
friends,
I know after this interview, once it happens, people are going to be like, oh man, Jag!
well, I'm sure you have our best interests at heart.
What I will say is this thing that I'm keeping secret, I'll make sure I send you a link so we can go live for a little bit when it happens.
Cool.
Good, I want in.
Very interesting. Odell booked the tickets and hold on a second. Odell!
Road trip.
So people in the chat are asking me questions about Trump and what Trump is doing.
Don't say what.
Okay, nothing.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the link. I'm good.
We got a question from Kalinor5. What do you think of Brandy coming out with a new memoir? Do you think she'll be honest about what she knows about Whitney Houston?
God, no.
No.
That girl's been lying since she started singing. I bet you she's going to have more lies in her memoir than Eve did. Because that Eve memoir was a mess. Man, for someone who knows that woman, that story was interesting. I'm still trying to figure out how she left out, all that time when she was tripping over that night out on Broadway, putting that condom on her tongue and licking everybody's butt out for $5 a pop. Like, if you're going to write a memoir, how does that not make the cut? And those are facts, because I watched her do it. I was in the black shooting people because I was back there hustling, and I told her, baby, you're hustling backwards. And she was like, well, I don't feel like dancing and I don't like dancing. And I'm just trying to get this money and get out of here. I said, girl, your teeth gonna fall out. You keep playing with these fools up in here like that. And because they came and told me, they was like, oh my God. And this was when she was still being managed by my friend, Frank Bank. May he rest in heaven forever. But yeah, they was like, yo, bank artist over there, Eve over there. I said, Eve? They said, yeah, Eve is destruction. I said, Eve doing what? They said, she over there wilding, Jag, go get her. So I went out front, I put down my pool stick. I was betting $20 a rack, and I was fixing to win. And that's when I went in there. And I'm like, this child have lost her damn mind. And she kept on doing what she's doing. I still don't know how she missed all of Fox's Valley because she got laughed out of there. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to write a memoir about your life and you're in the 50 area, you should have gotten to the point where you're secure about what you went from and how you know what I'm saying? You should be able to be honest about it. I don't know why these women is always lying. Like, if Brandy has a memoir and it doesn't include how she was getting spread like peanut butter down there in Pleasantville, New Jersey, while she was recording with Rodney Jerkins, I don't want to hear no more. Because I was in the room next door when she was getting banged out over there. And it was Rodney Jerkins' little cousin. And then when I found out she was pregnant, I was like, oh, let me find out I was there when she got knocked up. Because I was in the room next door sipping on corn liquor, smoking a L. But then they lied and said it was somebody else's baby. And then she got married and everybody found out that was a lie. And then she ran that person down with that car. And, you know, like, I just don't know. Has the statute of limitations ran out on all the shit she does? I don't know if she should be writing anything right now.
Interesting point.
But if she's not going to tell the truth about her childhood, trust me, honey, she ain't telling you nothing about no Whitney Houston. They are pledge allegiance to the Cliveness. Heil Clive.
Question from Misdemeanor. Who do you think is the biggest person going to go down in 2025 besides Diddy?
Jay-Z.
Does that extend to Beyonce?
I hope so.
Amen.
I mean, we should treat them as one. Aren't they married when you one and the two come together and they one? You know, just like Diddy's mom knew a lot about Diddy's dad business, I don't understand why people think Beyonce don't. She knows. She knows. I
Yeah,
know.
don't let all those opiates fool you, right? She might be wasted, but she's still doing it. She looks wasted anyway. That's I allegedly. I think.
How many times do you got to see somebody rocking back and forth, blowing bubbles with nothing in their mouth on a jumbotron to realize when somebody ain't, it ain't all.
Rolling. Not.
Anne wants to know if you think Mary J will be named as a co-conspirator.
Oh, she's gonna have to be. Because that's going to be one of the new things that I barrel down on this year. I need to make sure that she's properly addressed for her behavior with Danny Boy. You know, I'm sick and tired of people skipping over that like that didn't happen. I'm sick and tired of people skipping over that and acting like that boy didn't do a whole interview right here on YouTube with Art of Dialogue, talking about when he was 15, 16 years old, and he thought Mary J. Blige was his girl when she was 25 years old. And she flew him from LA to New York. And allegedly, there was a threesome with Danny Boy, Diddy, and Mary. What grown woman throws her face in a 15-year-old young man's lap?
Question from Bo. Can you ask Jag if Christopher Williams was the one who allegedly got SA'd instead of Albie Shaw?
As far as Christopher Williams is concerned, I don't want to talk about that man no more. I really don't. He died after I took him and Willie D down with that meme, and I just want to leave it that way. I don't
Right,
care
let's-
who he was a victim of.
We've got a question from Alice then. What about Drake, aka BoJack Horseman?
Oh my goodness, Crazy Alice from South Dallas.
Yep.
You realize what that is, right? Shots
No.
fired. I'm done. Leave me alone, Alice. She's been everywhere hunting me down. What does Alice want to know?
About Drake, BoJack Horseman, Richard, aka Dick Fitzenwell. Oh, I have no idea what any of that means.
No, because it's a she's trolling.
Okay, let's get rid of this.
Bye, MC Cupcake. Go back to the hospital and get your meds.
So, where do the Kardashians fit in Diddy's empire?
They're part of the enterprise. And they're upper management. And the reason why I can say that with such certainty is because of the church that they're all a part of in California. And Lou Taylor, who destroyed Britney Spears' life, sits on the board, and they all pay tithes.
California Community Church. No good people here. No, that's not it. What is it? No perfect people here. That's what it is. Their motto is no perfect people here. They nailed that.
And that's great. I'm glad they know they're not perfect. I just wish they would stop misadvertising and say all demons here.
Does Jaguar ever feel fear? If yes, how does she handle that feeling?
I'm not like everybody else. I don't have time for fear. Really. I don't. It was fear that kept me quiet as long as I was. But after my son, and like, I think people keep forgetting, like, my son Giovanni died September 9th. Kim died 2 months later. They both passed away 2018. And I'll never forget my first conversation with Albert after that. I had lost my son, and he had lost his lady. And the last time we were together, all we were doing was talking about how happy we were about the plans that we had with the people in our family that we loved. Who has time for fear? And I guess on the days when I experience angst or PTSD triggers, or it's very simple. I make prayer, I go to God, and then I get back to work. There's no time for fear.
So Welsh Gold has got a question that pertains to a guy we had on 2 nights ago who was an Armenian-American Hollywood gay bar DJ, friend of mine actually. And he said that the Kardashians are into the Armenian rituals.
Mm-hmm.
Do you concur with that, Jag?
Absolutely. I've been telling people this a witch. Them Kardashians a witches' coven. I mean, I don't understand how people don't want to see that. Or just looking at Chris. You know? I don't know why people have such a hard time accepting that the occult is real.
Most of the world still thinks that sex tape was leaked. You know what I mean? There's such a shroud of BS around that family. You know what I mean? When you start allegedly right? Mom knew about that tape and picked out what the best camera angle was. They sat in the kitchen, looked at that thing together before they hit out.
How about we quote Ray J. Rayford Norwood? He said Chris directed it.
And
And
did he
the
help write the
first take,
contract?
huh?
And did he help write the contract?
Yeah. He said Chris directed. What mother would watch her daughter get plowed down by community eggplant and sell it? You know, when they brought that show back, I didn't understand why. I said it was gone once. Why not just let it die? But when she came back and then something from the tape reemerged and it just was so violating. And I don't know, Mommy, why are they bringing this up again? And I just because that was a very trying time in my life. And meanwhile, you're sitting there crying to the person that filmed it and directed it. What was you crying for? I don't know, go make some new skims, I guess. Get over it.
Schnelz wants to know where Madonna sits in all this.
She's Stone Cold Witch. You know, you guys should have a conversation with Odell. Because Odell actually documented the guy that was stalking Madonna, that said he was her husband and that they had gotten married in some secret ceremony. And of course, you know, law had to come deal with him. But he was, from what I remember you telling me, he was very adamant about her.
Very convincing.
Very adamant about this secret ritual marriage that they had.
He was an occultist.
And he was an occultist. You know, when you start, you know what I'm saying? I tell you what I do know. I really loved Madonna more before she sold out. I think her first real shot at tapping into the AD cone, Adina cone, was Tupac. Because she went after Tupac. And even Rosie Perez talked about it in an interview, how she was, you know, hanging out backstage or whatever. And one day she was at an award show and she went with Tupac because she didn't have a date. And Tupac was like, "Well, you coming with me?" And she went with Tupac and she said Madonna had approached her about hooking up with Pac. And she wanted to know, did he come with you or y'all a thing? She was like, "No, I'm just a friend." She was like, "Ooh, can you hook me up?" And Rosie was like, "Yeah, I'll hook you up." And it's so interesting because 20 some odd years later, after Tupac is gone, she did try to do the same thing with Kendrick Lamar, who she said she felt the spirit of Pac on him.
She felt something on him.
She tried to feel everything on him from what I heard, but he got away from her, just like he got away from Erykah Badu when she came to try to bewitch him.
Quite a few people are asking about your theory, or the theory of the LA fires being used to destroy evidence, that kind of thing.
Could be.
I mean, I think it could be to destroy evidence. I think it could be to make sure people have no choice than to acquiesce to the rebuilding of a smart city, which will look more like a military confine than anything. I think it has a lot of things to do with a lot of things. I think, you know, Gavin Newsom might be having a temper tantrum too. You know, his girl Kama didn't make it. And now he's sitting out here on the block. There's a lot of people that stand to gain from the destruction of Los Angeles right now.
It's going to push a lot of homeless people out of there. This is a land grab. There's a lot going on here. She's right. There is a lot going, and opportunists have taken this, a chance to, and this happens at every fire.
They
There's an
tried to do the
opportunity
same thing with Katrina in the 9th Ward.
right outside New Orleans. Yeah.
America has never missed an opportunity to profit off of tragedy. The question is, this is all happening so fast. Was it a plan that was already in place, all depending on how the election went? Because people talking about the Santa Ana winds, that's fine. I've spent enough time in California, and my man is Cali born and bred. Santa Ana winds happen at a certain time of year. This isn't the time. So all of these winds that's blowing all of this stuff that has me with this virus now that I got to go get ready to get off of here and run to the bathroom. Y'all let me know, because I promise you right now, the only thing holding me together is one of Diddy's butt plugs. No, that was a joke. Oh, honey, don't leave. No, it was a joke. It was a joke.
The one from the back of the book. I've seen photos. Right? Did Corky Burgess put that on the back of his book?
Yeah, and he held it up. He held it up.
Oh my Lord! Man.
Talk
But
about community guidelines.
I mean, a lot of people are also getting sick right now. There's a big virus that's being pushed all across America.
That's
People
true.
are
My
getting
fiance,
sick
everybody I know is sick.
on different sides of the country. It doesn't normally work like that, where it usually happens simultaneously, not in tandem. I think they're doing a lot of things. But with the lack of ozone layer that we have over here in North America, and with them still playing, Star Wars up there and sending probes to go and touch the sun's outer layer to get data and information and energy and power and whoop-de-woo and all of this stuff, the solar flares that kicked out happened right after they sent that probe to the sun. Now, you get the solar flares. Anybody who knows science and who studies outer space at all will tell you solar flares have the ability to affect human behavior and weather. See, for me, it always comes down to the timing. Probe goes up, solar flex come down, no ozone layer. Those trade winds that come in from the outer space, they change everything here. They can even change the jet stream. And guess what? If you got a fire and water needs to be put out while all of this stuff is blowing all over the place, to move a lot of germs around. I don't know. I got a feeling that the government's going to start talking about booster shots again. And God help everybody with their jab.
So I'm putting the link to your YouTube channel in the description and in the live chat. So people, please support Jag and subscribe. And there is many a live stream happening over there. And a lot more being said.
Well, you know what, Sean? I love the fact that I get to come over here and pretend I'm white with you so I can go and be black on my channel. It's nice. I come over here, I get a little taste of white privilege, while I'm stepping and fetching and cooning for the man,
Scraping.
Get,
That's it. Isn't that what he said? I like it when you like that, Daddy.
Yeah, the trolls are saying we're colonizing, we're exploiting.
Oh, honey, listen to me. If you guys are ahead of it, I'm down with it. I like the way y'all colonize some love, colonize some equality. Oh my God. Can you imagine all these people upset at utopian fellowship?
Right?
They're doing everything possible They're doing everything possible to split us up, Jag. They hate you
Well,
coming on here.
and guess what? I'm gonna keep coming as long as you keep asking.
They're terrified
We
of
will.
unity, man. They're terrified of unity. Just like the
They're
same way
terrified
inside.
of the truth unifying. They love unity over there in Troll Land. They're very unified in all of their lies, and I'm proving it every day. You know, working together can also be known as collusion, conspiracy. I think I'm gonna whip up a couple of my own and see how they play out. But you know, you guys, I just want to say to all of you here at the Atwood platform, when we got together, they weren't expecting that. They didn't see that coming. The way they were trying to line up the whole Pierce thing, and then you guys came. And it's wild because I'll never forget the day Odell said, "Hey, the Sean Atwood, you ever heard of Sean?" I was like, "No. Who's this guy?" He was like, "I don't know. I'm gonna check it out, but I think we're gonna do it." And I said, "Well, you're the producer."
Thank you,
And
Odell.
that's Odell. And you know, so all I can say is let's just keep doing what we're doing.
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
know, Cat Williams always said, if you have 10 haters, you need 100. If you have 100 haters, you need 1,000. If you have 1,000 haters, you need 10,000 because your haters make you greater.
Yeah, indeed. Put a 1 in the chat, folks, if you want us to keep doing what we're doing. Put a 2 if you want us to bog off.
I think we're gonna see some ones.
I'm suspecting.
I want to see enough ones for us to just pack up and take to the strip club and go save some future victims. You
That's
know,
the
get a lap
spirit.
dance and get a girl a job. You know.
And Ada, reach out on through my Instagram or socials, and we'll get you on. And Jag said she will co-host, and you can tell your story. You're welcome. The door's open. Jag has greenlit you. It's all good.
Well, she came over to Maggie's channel, and I heard something that I didn't like. I heard a young woman who didn't have the proper information that's going up against the government agency. It's a CPS case. And the removal looks strange. And they've stopped communicating with her about the well-being of her kids. Which is why I told her she needs to immediately start calling adoption agencies, run birth certificates, social security cards, make sure those children aren't up for adoption. Because the area that she's in, a lot of adoptions happen just that way. CPS take over, no investigation finished, and then the next thing you know, the child is adopted and in another family. So I'm asking everybody to pray for Ada, just like we did the other day at Maggie's channel. There's a lot more people here, so please let's keep her in prayer. And that's all the information that I have. So that's about as far as I can go with vetting it. But Sean, between you and I, and after everything that's happened since I've come into your life, we're not interested in selling fake stories for clicks and views. We're interested in getting the truth to people and getting people the help they need.
Absolutely.
That
Love
is
it.
where we are aligned.
Yes. Well, huge thank you for coming on, and let's see how this documentary plays out with the viewers who haven't watched it, because most of them haven't watched it. If you are going to try and watch it, it's on Peacock. It's called The Making of a Bad Boy. And
Oh, and don't forget to watch Sons of Ecstasy, because that's another great documentary that came out this week as well. And it has this amazing character, and his name is English Sean.
I saw it. It's amazing.
Isn't it
Good stuff.
fantastic?
Got so many so fast. I ain't never seen anything like it.
At risk of sounding egotistical,
we are.
it was number 2. It was number 2 on Max yesterday. So
And it's going to keep going up. And
Amen.
thank you.
look at us. You get a documentary. You get a documentary. Everybody gets a documentary.
Oh, hell yeah. Perfect.
Oh, man, it's always awesome. And Tommy, anytime you want to stop by, feel free. If I got the link up, to hit the link. I need to stop by your channel a little more often.
Please do
I
that.
keep
I would be
forgetting.
honored.
No, but seriously, I keep forgetting. I'm always so just everyone's Atwood, and I keep forgetting that everyone also has their own collaborating, So please, I got to make sure, they don't always let me get my notifications, but, let me know. I'd love
I'd
to
be
come
honored.
by. You got some
I'd
great
be
stuff
honored.
on.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, that means the world to me. Thank you.
I don't really get a chance to give you honor and love enough. We don't talk enough, but I don't ever want you to think that I don't notice you.
I appreciate that, Jag, and I mean it. What I said. If you hadn't done what you had done, I wouldn't be talking about Diddy. I wouldn't. I mean that it was that early work that really sort of lit a fire.
Thank you. And I'm grateful for everybody that's gotten on board. And understand this, anybody who's fighting against people working together in this Diddy sphere, regardless of race, creed, religion, or whatever, the only people that don't want us to work together are the people that don't want us to win.
Yeah.
And the enablers of the predators.
Yes.
It's 2025.
I'm going to
Salute.
get to what I'm getting to. Let me know how little Ziggy's feet are doing.
We will. Thank you for that.
She's gonna pull the plug.
Take care, Jack. See you next time. Thank you. Right.
She's gonna pull the plug.
Viewers, do not sign off yet. We are going to Tommy's show. It is going to be live in a minute. We're going to close this one down. It's going to take you right over to Tommy's show. If it doesn't, the channel icon will be live. Hit it, and it will take you to Tommy's show. And I'm going to end this one so we can go right over there.